Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sliced Bread. So I honestly believe people watch YouTube 3.25 billion hours a month, mainly due to one of the most common features of YouTube, and that is personalization. Just to break that down a little bit, that comes down to 75,000 hours of videos are watched on YouTube every minute. Just to explain the difference between YouTube and other video platforms out there, for example, like Facebook video. I think in the case of YouTube, you go to YouTube to search for a specific topic or you find an answer to a certain question. But for Facebook, you go there because a friend of yours shared an interesting link. So it's sort of this push versus pull comparison that usually happens. And so you might think it's actually harder for YouTube to attract viewers. But because of personalization, that is far from true. So when you compare the market share of viewers looking at internet video platforms such as Netflix, YouTube, Facebook video, and so on, Netflix is number one, followed by YouTube, and then the others come under this bigger bracket of others. So why is this the case? So let's look at an example. For if let's say you want to travel to Iceland, you want to know more about the country and how to get about, how to travel, what are the best places to eat or the top 10 places to visit. You go to YouTube, you search for top 10 things to do in Iceland. The magic with YouTube though is right after you made that search, it sort of finds things that are similar to what you're looking for. So you search for travel, you search for Iceland, it knows these topics and it starts recommending videos to you based on that. Now, right after you're done with watching videos about Iceland, when you revisit the platform and then you see other videos, at the end of watching one video, you get recommendations of what to watch next. But what happens when you visited Iceland and you don't want to watch Iceland videos anymore? You want to probably go to Australia and you want to watch videos about Australia. What happens then? And that's the sort of crux of this video. Don't try to solve every problem with personalization, and here are 3 reasons why. Number 1, as an internet user, you get yourself into a bubble and then it's extremely hard for you to get out of. In the case I mentioned about YouTube, once you've started viewing these videos on Iceland, it's very hard for you to actually come out of it. Yes, you can go and delete your settings, but YouTube generally makes it pretty hard for you to go and remove all the preferences on their platform. Understandably so, because they're making revenue off of what the data that you have provided involuntarily. Number 2, if personalization applies to news, for example, you miss out on things that are somewhat occasionally important to you. For example, I could be in a different country to my home country, but I would still want to keep in touch with what's happening in my home country. Number 3, and I think this is the most important part of this, the whole purpose of the internet was to collaborate, was to communicate, was to learn something new. And I think with personalization, it's sort of the antithesis of that. It sucks you into a bubble, it makes you learn everything about Iceland, for example, and maybe about travel as well. But it does not give you insights outside that, and hence you sort of start getting into this loop without learning something new. Just as an example, I want to show you the Discover tab on my phone right now, and you will see that I'm interested in cars, Formula 1, Tesla, Netflix. And that's pretty much it. My entire so-called Discover tab, ironically called Discover, actually has only these topics. Obviously, I'm interested in a lot of other topics. I love design, I love UX, UI. So what are we saying here? I'm not saying that personalization is bad. I'm just saying that if you apply personalization to every problem, every application out there, it can have adverse effects. You probably start curbing the amount of learning that you are instilling in that internet user. It could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody. Think about it this way. If you applied personalization in school, would you have learned the wide array of topics that you did? Yes, there are a lot of things that you may not want to recollect as part of your history lessons, but if you didn't know Renaissance or Impressionism, you wouldn't be able to appreciate the artwork that you would actually do if you were in any of these European countries. And yes, you can learn that also from YouTube, but if you don't even know about this, if you weren't even given that awareness in school, it's incredibly hard for you to appreciate them once they're on YouTube. In my view, the solution may not so easy to implement. I think you need to give the users a choice. The choice between something that's personalized to you, something that you are more likely to spend time on. Let me get this straight. I mean, personalization is super helpful in use cases like your keyboard, for example, where smartphones have done away with physical keyboards. You genuinely want personalization to help you type quicker, predict what you're typing, and so on and so forth. So you really want personalization in those cases. But in the cases of news, for example, where you're planning to learn something new, or if you have a learning application like LinkedIn Learning, for example, you should be able to suggest topics that are out of the blue, new to the user. I think as an ecosystem, Android needs to go towards that sort of an interface, provided you give them the option to choose between something that's highly personalized versus something that's discoverable. Thank you for watching this episode of the Sliced Bread. If you like the video, do comment and share, and of course subscribe as well. See you next time.